Greetings, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the No Address Podcast Revamp. This podcast focuses on changing the narrative of how we perceive the unsheltered population in the media and in our daily lives. I am Kalita, your host and the director of the No Address Podcast documentaries. You can check them out on the screen right now. They're streaming on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and right here on my channel. So check those out and let me know what you think. And we're going to get right into it. So last time we talked about the executive orders, how that has totally changed the face of services and resources for the unsheltered. So now this is what they want to do. Let's go right into this article. It says Utah's Trumpian homeless campus, lifeline, or detention camp. The divisive plan comes as the president cuts federal funding for housing and tells states to get rough sleepers into mental health and drug treatment centers. Last month, the government of Utah confirmed that the disconnected parcel of land will be a site for a service campus where up to 1,300 homeless people will receive involuntary treatment for mental illness and addiction, incentivizing states to take harsher enforcement action to clear the homeless from public places. The order was foreshadowed by promises Trump made on the campaign trail before he won his second term in November last year. He told voters he would open up large parcels of inexpensive land where homeless people can be relocated and their problems identified. All right, I want to pause there for a moment. So, if you're going to open up large parcels of inexpensive land, why can't you donate that land to nonprofits such as the No Address Foundation that want to build alternative, safe, sustainable housing, permanent housing for the unsheltered? Why can't we turn that into a real solution instead of involuntary mental institutions where people really aren't going to get the help that they need because they're going in there involuntary? Okay? So let's be a part of the solution and not create more problems. Legal and civil rights campaigners have criticized both the presidential order and Utah's plans as inhumane, describing them as part of a backward slide to a darker period in American history defined by institutionalization. At its height in the 1950s, an estimated 550,000 people spent years, some whole lifetime, in state-run psychiatric hospitals of the kind brought to in the forefront of public consciousness in the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And if you haven't seen that movie, you need to see it. It's a good watch. State planners who have stated that their intention to build work-conditioned accommodations have promoted outrage among the homeless advocacy groups and the homeless themselves. When you are talking about involuntary treatment and stays, it sounds like a Hitler concentration camp, says Malaysia Facey, 45, a former nurse from California who is currently homeless in Salt Lake City. See what I'm saying? Anybody can be that at any point in time, and this is what they want to do to those that are suffering. Individuals with a mental illness who pose a danger to themselves or the community can be temporarily forced to receive treatment. Guidance from the U.S. Department of Justice says civil commitment should only be used as a last resort. So as a result of this has become national controversy, with multiple groups advocating for the defunding of this project. The National Homelessness Law Center, joined by two members of Congress, Representative Dalia Ramirez and Representative Maxwell Frost, has launched a campaign to block federal funding for the facility, criticizing it is a homeless detention camp. They argue that the shelter's potential for involuntary detention aligns with Trump's administration policies on civil commitment and the call for investment in housing and treatment instead. Critics, including faith leaders, environmentalists, and homelessness advocates, have rallied against the project, citing concerns over environmental damage, lack of community input, and the shift away from proven housing first models. A letter signed by over 1,400 people urged state leaders to halt the project, emphasizing that existing services are underfunded and that the new campus would place an unfair burden on a single neighborhood. Advocates argue that resources should be redirected towards supportive housing, trauma-informed care, and peer support programs, which have demonstrated higher success rates. If it's not broke, don't break it. What are we doing here? The goal for them is to put everyone in detention camps, defund what was working, and then let's come up with their own so-called solution to put everybody in detention camps to control them, basically. That's what they want to do. So it's not about helping anymore. And we, the people, have to help each other. We, the people, because government is not doing it as we see. We already talked about this has been going on for over a century now and it's getting worse. So, despite these calls, the state continues to move forward. The Utah Homeless Board has voted to abandon the scattered site model, citing inadequate bed capacity and service gaps. The state has already appropriated $23 million for land acquisition and construction. All right, $23 million. Do you know what I could do with $23 million? Seriously. $23 million, we can house everyone in the infrastructure that we are talking about through the No Address Foundation. Shout out to Atelier 7 in Atlanta, Georgia, who is doing the shipping container models. And they are on our board as well, by the way. The state has already appropriated $23 million for land acquisition and construction, with officials projecting a total cost of $75 million, leaving a $50 million shortfall to be filled through state, local, and philanthropic funding. Okay, so Governor Spencer Cox has stated that the campus is a top priority, framing it as a statement of Utah's values. However, the decision-making process remains opaque, with the final site selected and funding decisions expected to be made behind closed doors. So we have a big problem. If they're going to do this behind closed doors, there is no transparency and no one has a say in this. That is just totally insane. That is totally insane, and you're going against the people. This doesn't make sense. You don't want the people involved. You want to do what you want to do with human beings, and that is very sad. So we just found out a couple of weeks ago that Utah is facing a major political and policy standoff over its planned 1,300-bed homeless campus, with state leaders now reconsidering the project due to legislative action, funding concerns, and intense opposition. Heck yeah, it's the people. It's the people. We should be using our voices and speak for those that cannot speak for themselves in this capacity. House Republican leaders have introduced House Bill 523, a bill that will ban any permanent homeless shelter with more than 300 beds, effectively blocking the North Point mega shelter, which is the shelter we're talking about in Utah. House Majority Leader Casey Snyder framed the move as a response to unfulfilled promises on protecting the Great Salt Lake and preserving conservation easements tied to land swaps. The bill has sparked debate over whether it's a genuine policy shift or a bargaining chip to secure commitments on land conservation. House Speaker Mike Schultz stated the goal is to ensure long-term sustainability of the lake, not to derail the shelter entirely. So they're really concerned about the lake and not the people. Go figure. Opposition is growing from advocates, environmentalists, and civil rights groups who call the project a detention camp or an internment camp due to plans for involuntary treatment and forced residency. A nationwide coalition, including the ACLU of Utah and the National Homelessness Law Center, is pushing to block federal funding for the project. Despite the controversy, Governor Spencer Cox and Republican leaders remain supportive, arguing the campus is necessary to provide coordinated services. However, with the state facing a bleak budget year and the legislative session nearing its end, the future of the massive shelter remains uncertain. All you groups that are fighting for this, if there's a petition out there or something out there that we can sign off on and let our voices be heard, let us know, because we all need to get involved in this. since it's right now at a standstill, let's go ahead and put more pressure on that state to say no, because when that state does something, then the rest of the states are going to follow. So this is how we do the domino effect, the monkey see, monkey do thing. We can't allow this to happen in one state and then continue everywhere else, because this is not a solution. All right? Let's that be clear. There's not a solution. People need treatment. There should be another way to handle that instead of taking people against their will. And then we will not have access to them ever again. So let's be mindful of things like that. That's all I have for you for now, but next time we're going to go even deeper to see who is really behind all of this. So stay tuned for that. And now we're going to end this on a positive note, because I know this is very heavy, and we want to talk about the people that are doing great things out there for those that are experiencing homelessness or experiencing poverty, or whatever compassion that we can give to our brothers and sisters that are going through. So here we go. This particular story headline is Determined Engineer Student Builds Prototype Modular Home to Help Homelessness. I will put the article in the description as well. This particular guy is an 18-year-old engineer student at Western University in London, Ontario. He's designed and built a prototype modular home aimed at addressing the city's growing homelessness crisis. The home, constructed from fiberglass panels and thermoplastic PET foam, is designed to be assembled in just one day and can be scaled up to 3 times its current size. His name, Zebian, envisions the home as transitional housing, not permanent dwellings, and emphasizes their affordability, durability, and architectural appeal, avoiding the typical boxy look of many modular units. To test the design's real-world viability, Zebian plans to live in the prototype for a full year starting in May 2026, experiencing all 4 seasons and identifying any flaws to refine the model before mass production. He is also in talks with local agencies and hopes to partner with manufacturers to deploy the homes quickly. His motivation stems from seeing 1,800 homeless people in London, with rising housing costs threatening future generations. While not a complete solution, Zebian believes his modular homes can be a scalable, efficient step toward ending homelessness. So there you have it. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. And I hope this project comes to fruition for him, because that makes sense to stay in your own prototype to make sure that it's efficient for anyone, right? Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and check out the No Address documentaries at noaddressdocumentary.com. Also, you can learn more about our foundation, the No Address Foundation, where we are housing those with no address, building alternative style homes that are sustainable and affordable for anyone. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Peace and love.